Hit me, baby.
Welcome to the M and Emmy show, where we
Murmur, mumble, and mimic. Nope, that wasn't it. Fuck, I already forgot the word. Let's do it one more time. What's the last word?
welcome to the M and Emmy show, where we
Murmur, mumble, and mutter. All right, one more time.
welcome to the M and Emmy show, where we
Murmur, mumble, and mutter.
It is another mystery of the deep. As hopes fade for the 5 wealthy Titanic tourists who vanished while exploring the wreck aboard a mini submarine, one question keeps arising. What happened? It is possible that no one will ever know after the sub, called Titan, suddenly went silent hundreds of miles off the coast of Canada and around 13,000 feet underwater beside the Titanic. On board was a British billionaire, one of Pakistan's richest men and his son, a famed French explorer, and the CEO of the company running the dive. They began their voyage early Sunday with 96 hours of oxygen inside the sub and have not been heard from since.
How many days is that then? Since Saturday?
Was this in Saturday? Yeah.
Did he just say Saturday? So, what's 96 divided by 12? You can do it, Emily. 13? No, way less than that. Uh-oh.
8.
96, okay, 8. So that's, why did I do 12? That's 4 days.
Wait, so 4 days, and this is since Saturday.
So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's Wednesday.
Damn. You know, it's I don't know. This is kind of crazy because I see a bunch of people being like, all the people were really wealthy that were funding this project and that went down, and they were like, not even money can save you. That's how you know this was a mess, because it's not about money, because there's like a billionaire in there. So
yeah, if they could be saved, they would be saved. It's kind of like the people that climb like Mount Everest and K2 and all the Himalayan mountains. If you fall in a crevasse, you fall in a crevasse. Like, there's nobody that can, like, rescue you. But I didn't know there were 5 people.
Let's see if they talk about how the submarine was built, because I watched another video that was talking about that, and you would never have stepped foot in it if it was basically a paper mache boat that went down, like, from the way they were describing it. It was not well made.
Let's find out then. Jeez Louise.
Submarine experts agree that 5 possible accidents are the most likely cause. Perhaps the most obvious explanation is that the submersible became tangled in the wreckage of the Titanic itself.
Like scuba divers die like
Split
that.
into 2 pieces as it sank back in 1912, and those sections now lie amidst a huge debris field on the seabed. Navigating the wreck is extremely dangerous, according to those who have dived it. It is possible that the sub's pilot got disoriented, perhaps after communications were interrupted, causing the craft to get snagged. Another explorer has described how a sudden undersea current swept his submarine into the wreck, getting it temporarily stuck. Titan is equipped with drop weights, which can be thrown overboard to give it extra buoyancy, potentially freeing it and helping it float to the surface. But if it is stuck, for example, inside the Titanic, there could be little the crew would be able to do except wait for help. A banging noise picked up on sonar could be the trapped crew knocking on the hull of the sub to attract attention, but rescuers have still been unable to find the craft.
Wait, so they're getting the signals, like the sonar signals of them banging for help, but they just can't find it? Is that what you just said? Did I just hear that right?
Well, the thing is, people don't realize is the Titanic is so deep. It would be easier to rescue them from space than it would be how deep they are in the ocean. Like, they are, I don't know how many feet down, how many hundreds of thousands of feet down they are, but they're really deep down there. And so that's what the people are saying. Like, they're having a hard time rescue them because they're just so far down. Like, we rarely ever go that far down into water. So I don't know. It's really kind of crazy, but I feel like when you go on a project like this, you have to know the risks and you have to be ready to accept. Like, to me, I'm like, if I'm getting in this makeshift submarine, I know there's a high chance I'm gonna die. So I feel bad that they're not getting rescued, but this whole thing was kind of a crazy
It's a crazy thing to do. It's a crazy thing to do.
Yeah.
Titan could also have suffered a power outage or equipment failure.
Sorry, I can't even imagine doing this. Like,
see,
the craziest thing, like, think of how crazy it is that, you know, we think, oh, people got on, like, a spaceship and went to space. Like, you know, just circling the Earth, like, in a spaceship. Like, that's crazy, right? I would rather do that than go on a submarine.
Yeah, me too.
Because what are you going to see?
Right. The city of Atlantis? Like, and the thing is, like, the fact that they're saying like these possible things that could have gone wrong, like, oh, electrical failure. Are you telling me that these people may have died for something as dumb as electrical failure? No. I want a better craft here. Like, that's insane. Like, I would be so pissed if my family member died because of electrical failure.
On its, like, first run.
It's first run. Like,
like, the CEO is on it.
Yeah.
He thought this was foolproof.
Yeah.
The sub relies on batteries to power the communications, and a failure could explain why it lost contact with the surface. But they also power the engines, the lights, and the heating. A catastrophic failure would have left the sub dead in the water, in complete darkness, and in freezing temperatures. If that is the case, experts say the cold could kill quicker than the lack of oxygen. Questions have been raised over the quality of the sub after one passenger pulled out over fears the company building it were cutting corners.
Imagine being the person that was like, no thanks, I was gonna go, but I'm not feeling good about this. Imagine how you're feeling right now watching this story. I'd be like, I am a genius. I am psychic. You can pay me $100 for a 15-minute reading. Like,
well, and also too, like, he found out they were cutting corners. This is what I'm talking about. Why are we cutting corners on something like this?
Well, if you ever watched the documentary on the NASA, the Challenger launch, same thing. They were under, like, immense pressure to get it done as fast as possible because of funding. It always comes down to the pressure from, like, the people funding these projects. So they cut corners. They just do it as fast and as cheaply as possible so that they can get it done. Because, you know, if you don't make messy action forward, like, your funding gets pulled. And people die.
Yeah.
Like,
well, you know what I think is actually ironic? I was reading years ago that the Titanic, one of the reasons why it actually sank is because the captain had so much pressure to get to the Americas quickly, because it was like one of the biggest ships of its time and all this stuff. And so there was pressure for him. Like, he knew there was icebergs and he should have slowed down, but he was like, nope, full steam ahead, keep it going, because there was all this, like, pressure on the ship to perform well and all this stuff.
That was in the movie.
Like, yeah. So, and that's true. And that's what's really, he did feel a lot of pressure to, like, you know, full steam ahead. But it's interesting that, like, people would literally got to die for us to be like, maybe not. maybe slow down.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not cut corners on a submarine going deep into the ocean.
Admittedly, though, I would way rather die of hypothermia, I think,
Me too.
than suffocation or drowning. Because, like, from what I've, like, heard that it described as is, you know, there's different, like, phases of it, but, like, towards the end and stuff, you really just, like, kind of check out, and you just kind of go to sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think if I'm gonna be trapped in a submarine in the bottom of the ocean, I'd rather die of hypothermia.
Me too. No, me too. I was thinking that when he said that, because
Yeah.
suffocating to death, and just like these poor people. Like, I hope they're still alive. I hope we find them, because what a story to tell. To come back and be like, and to see what would, like, I don't know. They're all pooping on top of each other.
They're done.
They're so bad.
They're 24 hours past the oxygen that they came with.
No offense to these people. I know, like, the CEO is probably a genius, but, like, this does not feel well thought out.
No.
It is.
He discovered that scaffolding poles were being used as ballast, and a video game controller was being used for steering. After that, he demanded...
No! Like, this is not real life.
But, like,
No.
it's easy. It's just like a video game. Oh, that's why they crashed. You know, okay, so do you know how hard it is, like, the video game mechanics, like, to steer with, like, the analogs and stuff underwater? Like, at least in Spyro, it's really hard. I crashed into everything. I'm like, go up, but the controller is set so you go down. You know what I mean? Like, it's inverted. That's what happened. I solved it. It was the video game controls.
Like,
They programmed it inverse.
but don't
Silly.
you feel like now that, like, this almost seems inevitable? Like, like, if they made it out alive, I would be more shocked. Cause, like, a video game
crazy.
control?
This is a crazy thing to do. And then they're like, yeah, easy, good idea. You know, I would have trusted them steering it with a phone app more.
That's what airplanes, like commercial airplanes, are. They're not, like, actually flying those. It's like a fucking remote control flying those things. I feel more comfortable with that than what went on in the submarine.
Well, and also it's like, not to, you know, shame the engineers, but wouldn't you have, like, for safety measure, like, so this basically implies that, like, you can only control it electronically, right? Like they were saying, like, it runs on batteries and stuff like that. Would you not have, like, a manual default steering system just in case? You know what I mean? Like a
Really?
I don't know. Like,
This feels like a prototype. They went down to a prototype.
in one of the most challenging dives you can do.
Yeah.
It's not even like a test run.
Like, let me put it this way. Like, I would be a bit apprehensive to go down into the ocean in a military grade submarine. Like, that would freak me out even.
Yeah.
So this little minivan that they went down in is like, no shot.
A minivan would have lasted. Those things last forever.
Those things never die.
Shout out to Ford.
Bound on road dead. What? You survived the ocean.
With his money. An OceanGate engineer also previously quit over safety concerns about the structural integrity of the sub, and an industry body wrote a letter in 2018 criticising the company's experimental approach. Losing power would make the sub harder to find, and there will still be the matter of getting it back to the surface when its engines aren't working. They may still be able to surface, but there is no sign of the vessel yet. Alistair Grieg, a professor of marine engineering at the University College London, said rescue options will be extremely limited if the sub is without power. Another possibility is that the sub has become tangled on a piece of debris like a fishing net. Thousands of so-called ghost nets are swept around the deep ocean after being lost by trawlermen. Back in 2005, a Russian submersible called AS-28 became tangled on just such a net while it was underwater off the Kamchatka Peninsula in far eastern Siberia. The net got caught in its propellers and caused it to sink to the seabed, with a British underwater drone brought in to cut the netting and free it. All 7 crew members made it safely to the surface 2 days later. But they were stuck under just a few hundred feet of water.
Here we go. He's going to say how deep it was.
Compared to the Titan's 13,000. To cut the craft free, rescuers will first have to find it, and sonar is not good at distinguishing the sub from the wreckage of the Titanic scattered around it. And even if it can be cut free, the Titan will still have to make it back to the surface on its own, because transferring the crew to another vessel at that depth is impossible.
You can't tow it up?
But you know what I was thinking, and maybe I just don't understand how this works, but if there's no electrical, won't the pressure like explode their lungs if they just pull it up, or like there's no, like, you know what I mean? There's no way to get them safely.
Yeah, there's no like pressurizing it.
Yeah, because like I don't understand how they could like, I don't know. Even if they find it, how do you get it out of the water? So I don't know.
We need some tow it up though. Like, you can't just 13,000 feet.
Yeah, I was trying to be hopeful. These people are dead. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and now this is what I was going to say.
After the submersible suddenly stopped communicating with no explanation, a catastrophic implosion of the vessel has become a leading theory.
A leading theory.
Harris, an experienced Titanic explorer, fears that is exactly what happened, 10,000 feet down, where the pressure is 350 times greater than at the surface. When a submarine's hull fails at depth, the pressure of the ocean will almost instantly crush it and anyone inside. Even a small fault in the carbon fibre and titanium hull could have caused the accident, and Titan's 3 previous voyages were cancelled over fears of structural fatigue. Owners OceanGate said the vessel, which features many homemade components such as hardware store washers, had been repaired since and was equipped with a sophisticated system to monitor for any problems in the hull. But if an issue had suddenly occurred deep underwater, it is doubtful the crew could have done anything in time to save themselves.
Who's doing the math? Who's the engineer here? Did they calculate for this type of pressure? Did they change it from the metric system over? Like, did they
convert?
Yeah, did they do their conversions right? Did they
this sounds so much worse than what I heard. Oh my god. I'm concerned.
This is ridiculous.
This is like, I was joking, but like they really sent a minivan into the ocean. Like, this is like a toy car.
Worse. But what's frustrating me here is like
clutching my pearls.
They're not even talking about if and when they tested it at any certain like level. Like, did they not? Did they just like drop it in a pool and like there weren't any leaks, so they're like good to go?
They put it in the bathtub real quick.
Yeah, did they test for leaks?
Okay, yeah. Like, didn't even test it with something like, I don't know, with something else.
Amazing.
Now my mind goes to what was told to the people in the submarine. I want to know, because I know they had to sign waivers saying that, you know, all these waivers say of the risks, but I feel like, I hope they weren't told like how safe and how this and this.
Oh, of course they were. A lot of times when you don't understand the science, it's like, you don't know what to question even. So it's like, I kind of wonder what these people were told. Probably told it's so safe, it's so fine, and
than this.
But side note, this, because I guarantee you, they trusted this guy because his title was CEO and he was going down with them. This exact situation is an extreme example of why titles and little letters behind your name mean nothing.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
mean absolutely nothing. Just because somebody has 3 letters behind their name doesn't mean you shouldn't question them. Like, it is not an impermeable title.
We always talk about that, how here in the States we have such an issue with white coat syndrome. And it's I think you should actually question people with these big titles even more.
Absolutely.
And, just because we know a lot of times, like, what people learn, for example, doctors, a lot of it comes with an agenda, Not saying doctors aren't smart, whatever. I'm just saying I would question everything. I would, just because the CEO said that it was safe, it's his company. I don't trust it when it's your own company. No, of course you're going to say it's safe.
Well, and also it's just like, it doesn't mean intelligence. And if people really know their stuff, they actually like being questioned about it. If you've ever noticed that. Because, like, people who, know their stuff, like to give that information to others and, like, teach others, because they might be passionate about it. And it's fun to share information with people. So when you come across people that are defensive about sharing information or just don't want to talk about it or, something along those lines, that's probably a sign that they don't actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah. And wasn't it Einstein that said if you can't explain something simply, then you don't understand it at all, or you don't understand it yourself?
Yeah,
and
he's credited with something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and that's so true, though. If you can't break it down, that's digestible for the people that was going in this submarine to understand, then I question how much you actually understand it. I've had math teachers growing up that were like that could barely explain the math.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when I'd ask a question, it was like, oh, math magic. And I'm like, if you can't explain this to me, then you don't understand it yourself.
Exactly. And that's the problem with, like, unfortunately, most STEM teachers, like, they might have been able to pass the tests. They might be very intelligent and able to do it in their own head, but do they convey it well? Do they understand it well enough?
Right.
Probably not.
What?
Like, when you ask a question about math and the, like, I don't know, like, this is gonna be wrong, okay, so, but whatever. Let's say, like, what was it, like, 1 over sine equals cosine. And I'm like, well, why? And I remember, because trigonometry was hard for me because of that, because I'm just like, I don't, like, because all of a sudden you have 3-letter words that are supposed to mean something to me, and I'm like, I don't, like, why does this mean anything to me? And they're like, well, look at the graph. I'm like, okay, they're inverse, continuing waves. So, like, so why do...
That mean, yeah.
Actually saying that now I understand why 1 over sine equals cosine, because it's the inverse. But I didn't then. And if somebody had explained it to me, like, well, I would have gotten it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, well, because.
Math magic.
Yeah.
I got a lot of that growing up, too. Like, math magic. Like, and I'm not talking, like, just I'm talking about in college as well. Yeah.
College was just as bad, if not worse.
I remember my Calc 1 professor was actually really good, but, like, Calc 2, it was like, you should have learned this in Calc 1. I was like,
right?
Okay.
Right?
Well, okay.
Like, how is that ever an okay thing to say to a student?
Yeah. No, and that was said, for sure. Well,
that's been said to me plenty of times, too, yeah. Like, oh, you should have learned this already. Okay, so I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
Thanks.
So there's a good place to start.
And that's why Khan Academy is so successful.
Yeah.
God bless Khan Academy. Sorry, very, very big tangent. My bad.
But also relevant at the same time.
Tangent. Sine over cosine equals tangent. Or it's like cosine over sine. I don't know.
Just such an incident occurred in 2017 when the Argentinian Navy submarine ARA San Juan went missing in the San Jorge Gulf. The wreck was only located a year later, scattered deep down on the seabed. It is not known exactly what caused the accident, but it is thought an electrical failure
Wait, that was a
caused it to
submarine?
dive beyond its crush depth, causing an implosion, killing all 44 people on board. If that is what happened to the
Why
Titan,
didn't we hear about that?
the crew would have been killed instantly.
We're only hearing about it because it's a British billionaire.
Another possibility is a fire on board, perhaps caused by water getting into the electrics. In 2019,
because they didn't check for a
blaze
leak.
broke out inside the battery compartment of the
Because
Russian
they're going down in a
submarine
minivan.
Losharik, while it was 1,000 feet underwater. Fighting the fire in corridors as narrow as a few feet, the crew managed to get Losharik back to its parent submarine, which hauled it to the surface.
See, they could tell
14
that.
submariners, some of the most experienced and highly decorated in the whole of the Russian Navy, were killed. If a similar blaze were to break out on board the Titan, then the results could easily be fatal. Even if the crew somehow got the flames under control, the fire could knock out the electronics and eat up the oxygen inside the tiny 21-foot craft. There is still a lot we don't know about the Titan's fate, or the fates of the men on board. If the craft can somehow get itself to the surface, then there is hope that they can be saved. But if it is really stuck at the bottom of the ocean, then the chances of finding them alive are slim and fading fast.
So, what I've taken away from this is my fear of the ocean is valid. And that we don't have the technology. I'm going to go ahead and say we don't have the technology to explore the ocean at those high depths. Because him talking about all the other submarine things that were going for the other ones, I'm like, because I'm thinking this is like a rare thing, and for the most part, submarines, the military level ones, are okay. But no,
apparently
the other
not.
ones are imploding too. So sounds to me like we're not ready for deep dive yet in submarines. We're not there yet.
Well, let's just not. Let's just not. It's okay that the ocean is extremely unexplored. Let's just leave it that way. We don't have to explore every crevice of the earth. Relax.
Send the robot if you really want to see, but I don't know. I have no desire to ever do something like this. So
Can you imagine the claustrophobia?
People. And then what's scary to me is it depends on how they were dying. Like if it's an explosion, hopefully it was quick and painless and no one remembers. But if it's some shit like they're slowly freezing to death or they're suffocating to death, and you're just looking at everyone around you and we're all realizing we're losing oxygen, I'm like, give me a gun, because that sounds like some kind of hell.
It is hell. That is certainly hell. Honestly, I changed my answer. I would prefer it to implode, yeah.
Me too.
That wasn't an option when I gave hypothermia. Okay, so I'd rather implode, then hypothermia, then run out of oxygen. I guess the fire might be above hypothermia because that should probably kill you because of inhalation. Yes. You would think, right?
Yeah.
Or it would eat up all the oxygen, so you would die from lack of oxygen faster, even if you could get it out.
Yeah. See, my thing is, I just don't want, a scary death. I feel like if I have to die, that's fine. Yeah, a death where I'm I see the fire eating away at the oxygen. I'm that's scary. So I agree. My number one would be, I hope it just exploded.
Yeah, just so fast.
No one even noticed.
Yeah, you don't know what happened.
Scary.
Terrifying. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked what you saw. If not, Like and subscribe anyway, so that we can hire a better producer and editor.
Come again. Bye.